Now, you'd think that with no Max Verstappen cakewalk to cover this weekend, I'd actually be able to turn my attention solely to the latest Indycar round at Toronto. However, I was too busy dodging stray wheels at the Goodwood Festival of Speed. Not that I'm complaining, of course, it was an incredible event. That said, if you were meant to go on the Saturday... Anyway, these videos are for my majority American audience anyway, so you probably don't even know what I'm going on about. Let's then go on to what you're actually here for. Hey there guys, I'm Will, welcome to FP1, and the comedy review of when Indycar tried out Car Parking Simulator. Round 10 of the series would see the sport take its only dip away from the United States and head to Toronto, and if you're confused by that statement, thinking, but didn't we go to St. Petersburg for round 1, do us all a favour and grow a f***ing brain. As for the news, only one story dominated the headlines this week, that being the appointment of British IMSA champion Tom Blomqvist at Meyershank Racing. Simon Pagenaud was still too busy being French after his roly-poly at Mid-Ohio the other week, and since the team couldn't deal with another weekend of Conor Daly, they invited Blomqvist here to have a go. It was a pretty quiet news week, and practice 1 would kinda go the same way. Andretti's Carl Kirkwood would top a session that didn't really see a whole lot happen. Thankfully, some rain would show up for practice 2 and finally wake all of us up. Christian Lundgaard was the first to clout the wall, getting away with damage by the finest of margins. Jack Harvey would slightly one-up this attempt before Felix Rosenqvist took the game of chicken too far and slammed his McLaren into the wall. Despite the treacherous weather, that was our biggest accident of the day, though we came close to a much bigger one when Joseph Newgarden came across a group of cars that I can only assume were on low power mode or something. It would be Colton Herta who topped P2, giving Andretti some positive signs heading into qualifying. Positives that, given the calamities and cock-ups that have befallen them recently, they desperately need at the moment. Quali would roll around then, and the first big name to fall would be the championship leader Alex Palou. The Spaniard failed to make it through the first round, as the entire IndyCar paddock broke into song at the prospect of someone else winning the race on Sunday for once. Who knew then that that song would turn out to be a bit of a rain dance, as by the time Group 2 were about to hit the track, it had gone from this to this. That might just have been good news for newbie Tom Blomqvist, and for a while it looked as if he may just make it into the Fast 12.
Oh, and he's under the tires.
Okay, that probably didn't help. In fairness, he wasn't the only one making mistakes out there. Graham Rahal was back to his usual self when he nosed his car into the wall, and feeling left out, Romain Grosjean thought he'd have a go as well. As for practice 2 pace sitter Colton Herta, he would also fail to progress. So much for those positive signs I mentioned earlier. The weather had cleared up as the Fast 12 got underway, and even with Romain still trundling around at the back, everyone was still fairly well behaved. Will Power got into his first Fast 6 of 2023, and the other surprise happened to be the number 45 of Christian Lundgaard, though many just expected him to make it a 5-way fight for pole in the Fast 6. The Danish driver didn't seem to get that memo, however, crossing the line to take what I thought was his first pole on the year, completely forgetting he'd done the same thing at Indy a few months back. Lundgaard slipped to P4 that day, though would he be able to do better around the streets of Toronto? Well, after lap 1, he was doing better than most of the field, I'll tell you that. The Dane had an electric start off the line as Scott McLaughlin tried to hold off the McLaren of O'Ward in third. What you might notice though as the cars go through your picture is two things. Firstly, that Stingray Robb and Devlin Di Francesco are already miles behind the pack, and that the field looks rather small for some reason. That's because the rest of them were busy parked up for the day. Ryan Hunter-Reay was picking up from where Conor Daly left off as he squeezed the 30 of Jack Harvey into the wall. That caused all hell to break loose behind, as Tom Blomqvist's first start in IndyCar now rivaled that of Nikita Mazepin. And Benjamin Pedersen was also forced into early retirement, though after his antics last time out, you'd be hard-pressed to find anyone who actually cared. Graham Rahal was also stuck in this traffic jam, though used his extensive knowledge of the Toronto back alleys to keep himself on the lead lap. Turns out, Graham performing like a taxi driver all year does have its benefits. The race would restart on lap 10, with Lundgaard catching McLaughlin napping for the second time today. As he managed the gap out front, Romain Grosjean and Alex Palou were handing us all the entertainment we needed, shuffling past the other Ganassi of Armstrong as Alex decided to not bother passing Grosjean in front, given that he just had to wait a few laps until the Frenchman threw himself into the wall again. By lap 30, Palou got impatient of waiting and just dived down the inside anyway. the next man on his list being the Cambridge Honda of Colton Herta. This led to Grosjean heading down to pit road, prompting the Indycar commentators to say,
"Probably be the only time we see him again."
That wouldn't strictly be true though. We would see Romain one more time, as he forgot to turn at the final corner a few laps later. As the caution flags came out for the second time, strategy was well and truly being thrown up into the air. Kyle Kirkwood could have done with a few more laps under yellow to make his work before he came to the epiphany that he could just cause this yellow himself. With Castro Neves facing the wrong way, then blocking the track even more when he tried to get going again, the pace car was back out on circuit. Most of the field now headed to pit road, including leader Lundgaard, as Scott McLaughlin took over the P1 spot by staying out, though would need Stingray Rob to do Stingray Rob things if he wanted to stay there. Karma would then come around for Kirkwood on the restart, as he was swamped by a fast-starting Palou and Herta. Indycar then achieved the impossible by going 3 wide and not ending up like this again. Kirkwood's master plan would come to an end when the stewards handed him a penalty and took him out of contention. He then didn't serve that penalty correctly and got another one. I'll be honest, at this point I was surprised he didn't just straight line it into the Prince's Gate. Anyway, and going back to those who might actually challenge for the lead, and Alex Palou, despite his poor starting position, was looking pretty good. The same couldn't be said for his front wing, however, which was hanging on for dear life for the final 30 laps of the race. Meanwhile, race leader McLaughlin was still waiting for Stingray to do Stingray things and give him the caution he needed to stay in the fight for the win. When this didn't happen, he was forced into the pits under green. Strategy not working out for him this time, though you can see why he gave it a go. As the real race lead changed hands, so was the effective one. Christian Lundgaard muscling his way past Palou and his wonky front wing to set himself up for a debut win in Indycar. And as Dixon came in for new tyres, that was starting to look like a real possibility. Now it just came down to whether those who pitted under the last caution could hang on with fuel, and whether Palou's front wing could hang on to his Ganassi car. It didn't seem like an issue until Ericsson and Power were forced into the pits on the final lap. The teams worried they'd run dry and not make it to the checkered flag. Christian Lundgaard, however, on the same strategy, opted to stay out. He was 1.8 miles away from his first win in IndyCar, though if he ran out of gas, it would be all for nothing. Not to mention how much of a tit he would look as well. That said, after 85 tours of the Toronto circuit, Lundgaard crossed the line. He'd done it. Palou and Herta would round out the podium in what was a thoroughly entertaining race. From strategy drama to car parks, this one had it all. The championship picture is one, let's be honest, we don't care about at this stage, but fair play to Palou for fighting back to second and showing us all why he deserves that trophy at the end of the year. As for Lundgaard, he seems to think this is only the start, and after a commanding performance like that, you'd struggle to disagree with him. I just wonder now if a few of the top teams may be keeping a watchful eye on the Dane for the rest of the season. Anyway, if you enjoyed the comedy review, be sure to let me know by dropping it a like, subscribing to the channel for more, and telling me what you thought of the race down in the comments section. As always, a huge thank you goes out to all my patrons and channel members as well, and if you'd like to get involved in any of that, then you can do so by heading down to the links in the description below. For now though, that's all from me. I'll be seeing you very soon for another video, but until then, have a good one.